Hey guys, Martial Arts Militia here. My name is Matthew. Today's video is going to be a range report on the Colt Detective Special. I think I've done a video on the Colt Detective Special before. I think it might have been when I first got it. When I purchased it, it didn't say it was broken, but it was actually broken. It was out of time, so whether it was single action or double action, the cylinder wasn't in correct alignment, which means that if you shot a bullet through it, it would probably spit some lead, would be the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, it would explode in your hand. So obviously, after getting the gun, I think I paid $800 for it. I still had to pay $200 more to send it off to Cylinder and Slide to get that fixed. And they did a great job. You know, they got it, kept in contact with me, made sure I knew what was going on. It was fully repaired. They sent it back to me, and I got it back. Even so, I still didn't shoot it for a very long time because I was going through, well, work and then also motivation. I'm not very motivated to get to this kind of stuff, but eventually, you know, I was going through my list of 38s, basically, and kind of deciding which guns I want to keep and which guns I want to sell. So if it had a purpose for fighting or for fun, then I would keep it. If it was out of those two, then obviously I would just sell it. So I went through a couple of 38s. The Model 10 was kind of my number one. Smith & Wesson Model 10, that gun was excellent. I thought that would be my 38 special carry. But of course, with this fixed, I can now try this, which is what we are doing today. This particular model is a first issue. So Colt Detective Special has first, second, third issue. Third issue is going to have that shrouded, this barrel shroud that protects the ejector. Second issue, probably some differences. This is the first issue. Typically a half moon front sight, typically serrated cylinder latch here. Same thing with the trigger, stuff like that. Stuff like that is supposed to be first issue. Looking at the serial number, I went through that with a Range Master Don, and it looks like it's going to be 1942 is the range it was made in 1942. So quite an old gun, almost its almost 100-year anniversary. So just to continue on with 38s, see if this would replace the Model 10 or actually just be a nice complement. In comparison, the Model 10 is bigger than this gun, but it has the same capacity. They're both 6 shots. The Model 10's a K-frame, a little bit bigger. More equivalent to this would be something like a J-frame Model 36. I have that gun too. I think I did a report on that already. That gun would be similar to this. It might be slightly smaller just because it's 5-shot. But yeah, typically it would be the Colt Detective Special and the Model 36 is the two guns I would compare. Just this has 6 shots and the Model 36 has 5. So with that, of course, with the range, the ammo I bought was 250. They were both 158 grain. 94 would have been MagTech and then FMJ. And then 156 would have been cellular and below. That's a lead, 158 grain ammunition. So as usual, I head to the range. Quick note, speed loaders. So for speed loaders, this did work in theory with the K-frames, HKS and Safariland, but in practice, only one worked. HKS worked one time, and then it never happened again. So even though it worked okay with the snap caps, it doesn't really work with real bullets. Of course, I'm using the K-frame speed loader, which is inappropriate. That's for Smith. If you buy a D-frame speed loader, this would have been just fine. So anyways, I go to the range. As usual, I start at 3 yards. You guys know the drill. I try to make the hole as big as possible, so I got something to look at when I push it back to 5, 7, and 10 yards. After a bit, you know, a couple of rounds in, I noticed that the trigger would stick. It would stick after a double action pull, but I concluded afterwards it's because I was holding the trigger back. When I don't do that, it never happened again. So I'm just going to say that was probably me. So yeah, when you fire, don't hold the trigger back like you would do in other guns, I guess. It seems like the trigger will be stuck. But once I didn't do that anymore, it never happened again. So I would not call that an error or a failure of any kind. As for the results, so at 3 yards, I'm starting right at that X would have been right there. So 3 yards, I just shoot until the hole gets bigger. And then I go to 5 yards, I shoot, and then if I don't see any increase, I'll go back some more. I went to 7 yards and I still didn't see any increase, so I was still here. I pushed it back to 10 yards, then I started to see more of this outer line right here. So I'm starting to open up basically by having a bigger far out shots over here. Once I got to the last 6 shots, I put them on the head. And on the head, you're gonna see it's gonna be 3, 4, 5, and 6. So basically kind of a mirror image of what we're seeing down here, which is that lower left portion. And this was done at 10 yards. And of course that's a small X, so let me give myself as much handicap as possible, but that's where those 6 shots bullets ended up. Same thing about the 10-yard line over here as it starts to get bigger. So as far as double action, it was pretty good. Double action was pretty good. I didn't really notice too much. Of course, the gun got really hot after a short amount of rounds, so I had to put on gloves. But again, most self-defense scenarios, you're looking at about 6 shots at most. Yeah, 5 shots at most. So you're not going to get a burning gun, at least you shouldn't be. Single action, that was fine too. As far as recoil, I would say that the K-frame is more comfortable, but of course it's a K-frame, it's a bigger gun. But I don't think that it is, it's impossible with this. If I put like another 250 or 500 rounds through this, I'd probably be just as comfortable with this as I was with the Model 10. I think the Model 10's comfort comes from its increased weight, which is fine. It's fine for, for most people. But if you can get the same result with a smaller gun, then obviously try to do that. So I'm not convinced that I should sell my Colt Detective Special Model 10. I like them both too much, honestly. I'll probably just keep shooting them both and just see if one ever wins out over me. Otherwise, if not, then I'll just keep them both, really. So as far as the next range report, I think I'm done with 38s. I'm done with 3357s. With that, I'm stuck between the Colt Trooper and the Colt King Cobra. I think they both do very well, but I'm hoping that as I practice more with the Colt Trooper, I'll like that over the King Cobra and sell that. Otherwise, I want to move over to my AR-15, which is kind of like combination. I use like a Stag Arms upper or lower, and then I bought like an M4 upper, stuff like that. I just kind of put it together. I did that years ago when there was a possibility that Hillary Clinton could be president, just because her husband, Bill Clinton, had done the 1994 something Gun Safety Act, which didn't do anything against criminals, only civilians, of course. So I was just worried that we'd lose it. That's the only reason I made it and bought it back then. So yes, I want to shoot that, mostly because I was looking into FRTs, which are forced reset triggers. At first I was looking at binary triggers, and I only considered that because the FRT could not have a semi-auto function. So it's kind of like your gun would only be FRT or safe and nothing. But my corporal, I was talking to him at work, and he was saying that the FRTs now have that. So they're not just off or safety and then FRT, they're safety, semi, and FRT. And so we got to talking, and it's like, oh, well, I didn't know they did that. So then I abandoned the idea of binary trigger and just go into FRT. Of course, I'm going to make sure that my AR-15 works just fine first before I mess with that. So that's most likely going to be the range report, just baseline AR-15, make sure everything works fine, and then I'll probably buy the force reset trigger, put that in, test that, and well, have fun as I usually do, right guys? So that's the plan for the next range report. Guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and of course I will put the range footage here for you. So guys, have a good day now, okay? Bye now.
Martial arts! Martial arts! Good!